Bueno, que aquí le tenemos a nuestro hermano Joel, a Fabricio y a Marlito, que se encuentran allá. Estamos aquí, miren. Ven a ver los pescados.
¿Y esto nunca cierran fábrica si cierran?
No.
Escucha bien.
Like receipts. So to open this, so open it here, like this, you then pull this back and then drink it. Yes, and then you close it, so it's releasing all these people.
老师，我问你要不要喷点？
什么东西啊？是喷的，防晒霜啊！我不要，我不要，谢谢。我已经这个蛮黑的了，算了。待会我们到那个人间塔桥啊。
Bueno, que ya nos estamos yendo aquí en el bote.
We'll probably pick a few more people up, after which I'll be back on the mic with a safety briefing and information about your onward journey. In the meantime, just sit back, relax, enjoy the views. The sun is trying to shine and the bar is open. So if you're on holiday, it's about all the excuse you need, isn't it? I've just mentioned do unfortunately have one thing in common. They have all sadly since passed away. So the captain and I, we're just waiting for the plays a concert in there.
Mauro,
Is it too late to say I'm sorry? They don't get any better.
grábame desde ahí.
Now ahead of us we have Waterloo Bridge, better known as the Ladies' Bridge. It's because while the men were fighting during the Second World War, it was the ladies that kept this nation going. They built this bridge and they did take enemy fire from the Luftwaffe whilst doing so. It's the longest bridge to span the upper reaches of the Thames. It's the only bridge in this great river's history ever to have been built both on time and a thing or two about ugly buildings. Well, they say don't judge a book by its cover. Inside there are 3 separate auditoriums, including the world famous Olivier Theatre, named after one of the founding members. Ahead of us, on the left, you'll see a white boat with a beige funnel. That is the HQS Wellington, formerly of the New Zealand Royal Navy. It was donated to the Honourable Company of Master Mariners as their floating livery port. Sounds very impressive, doesn't it? What that really means is that boat was a drinking club for retired captains. To be a member, you must have been a Master Mariner, a captain out at sea for over 20 years, and you must be formally invited. That is an honourable company. Now my grandfather was a member of that company, and my dad was fairly recently invited. So there's no pressure for my career at all.
Nie, właśnie.
Over on the right, you'll see a brick building. It's got white lines running through it and a concrete tower on the top. That started its life as a power station. It was then bought by the Oxo company, who make the stop cubes. But you look either side of us. Now ahead of us on the right, you may not see it, it does have camouflage paintwork. That is London's very own warship, the HMS Belfast, launched on St Patrick's Day 1938, having been built in the very same docks as the ill-fated Southampton. You see flying proudly there at the front the Union Jack. Now that is the only Union Jack in London. To officially be called a Union Jack, that flag must fly from the wooden jackstaff with crown at the top at the bow of a British naval warship. Any other flag like that you see in London is simply known as a Union flag. Now the Belfast is permanently moored here now as an extension to the Imperial War Museum. You can pay to go on there, like these people, go in and out all the open hatches, up and down all these accessible levels, exploring all 9 of her decks from the engine room below the waterline to the captain's lookout way up at the top. It's a fantastic way to lose your children for a couple of hours. And over on the right, you'll see a glass building standing on its own with all these curved edges. That was built for Boris Johnson as his office when he was the Mayor of London. Custom built for Boris, that was. We've now got a different mayor in London. His name is Sadiq Khan. And he's decided he doesn't like that building, so he's moved out. You can actually see they put grey boards across the doors. There's not a single person working in that building today. But as you can see, if you look inside, they do leave some of the lights on. And about every 2 weeks they send the window cleaners. Don't know why, but that's politicians for you. Very good at wasting public money. And ahead of us, yes, we have Tower Bridge. We're still going to get closer. We're still going to turn the boat sideways. We'll get you that picture, don't worry. That's one of the younger bridges on the Thames. It was opened in 1894. It looks very old, but it's not. Structurally, it's made of metal. All the stonework you see, so it stays in keeping with the Gothic look of the Tower of London on our left. It's part suspension, part bascule. Bascule being the centre lifting part. It's the only bridge of this type in the world. It's completely free to have it lifted. It wouldn't cost you a single penny. All you have to do is give them 24 hours notice and proof that your boat doesn't fit underneath, and they lift it free of charge. Now there's one day of the year they'll never lift this bridge. It's not Christmas or Easter or anything to do with religion, it's not the King's birthday. It's the day of the London Marathon, because that's the halfway point. I mean, I personally think the marathon would be a lot more fun to watch if they left a 6-foot gap in the middle, but maybe that's just me. If you look up at the walkways, these used to be open-topped. They were closed many years ago due to the high suicide rates. They're now fully enclosed. They put glass floors in the middle. That is the Tower Bridge experience. You can pay to go up there, walk along the top, and stand in the middle on the glass looking directly down at the bridge below. But ladies, be careful what you wear if you go up there. Go on a trouser day. There's been reports of a very strange man standing at the bottom with a pair of binoculars looking up. But if you go today, ladies, you'll be absolutely fine. It doesn't matter what you wear, because that very strange man is up here driving the boat.
Okay, ladies and gents, we are safely alongside Tower Pier. So if you are leaving us here, please start gathering all personal belongings and start making your way downstairs. As my colleague says, the only people that stay on this boat are for Greenwich. People with valid tickets for Greenwich. It is an hour and a half before we are back.
This comes in the forms of life jackets, life rafts and life rings. In the highly unlikely event of an emergency, I'd ask that you please all remain seated, remain calm and follow strict instructions given to you by a member of the crew. Is that quick enough for everyone? Well, that's good, because I'm not doing it again. Once again, a little bit of housekeeping for you on board. If you are on the top deck, this is a seated deck. This is just so the captain can see. You can see there are lots of other boats moving around on the river. He needs to see what's going on. If you wish to stand, you can stand at the very back on the slightly lower deck. Now once again, there are two options for your cruise. Option one is the company provided audio guide. It comes in the form of an app. You have to download it. I don't know how long it will take to download. We might be in Greenwich by that point. I find it's very slow, very boring, and it's got lots and lots of adverts in it. But if you want to download the app, you're more than welcome to. That's option one. Or option two is I can join you live on the microphone, giving something of a live commentary. But it's up to you folks. I'll put it to a vote. And I can see you on the cameras downstairs in the main saloon. Don't feel left out if you're downstairs. I'm watching you. So hands up for option number one, the app. And hands up for option two, the human. Option two it is then. And once again I have to warn you, I'm not a paid or trained tour guide, I'm simply a member of the crew. I'm here to keep you safe. So if I get anything wrong along the way, just keep it to yourself. There's not as much to point out on the way down to Greenwich. So at certain points I will be leaving you in peace, certain parts of the journey. Because if I did talk to you for the entire journey, at certain points I'd just be telling you the names and numbers of the houses. I think that might get a little bit boring and monotonous. But I'll point out as much as I can to make it less of a magical mystery tour for you all. Now on the left you'll see 3 green buildings. Now the architect of these buildings, he says they're meant to look like something. Any ideas what they might meant to be look like? No, that's one of the most common suggestions. Ships? No. With kids it's usually spaceships. With adults it's ships. No, apparently these are meant to look like 3 French soldiers. A couple of houses in, you'll find Graham Norton's house. And he lives in London, he stays there. But if you look at Oliver's Wharf, at the top you've got the penthouse. Now the most famous person to have lived there was the actress and singer Cher. She lived up there. And she wrote several quite rude and quite short letters of complaint to our base of operations on the opposite shore, Cherry Garden here. She was complaining that we were telling people where she lived. And people were turning up at all hours of the day and night, asking for photos, autographs, and all sorts of other things. But we never stopped telling people, so eventually she moved out. So I think that means we won. If you would like to go and see Cher at her new flat in London, you just go to number 22 Chelsea Gardens, flat B. just knock on the door. You might see chef. Over on the left, you'll see a building with red balconies and a letter E at the top. That is Execution Dock. Someone had been found guilty of piracy many years ago. They would have been walked along the shore at low tide and then chained to the stakes underneath that building. The judge who ordered the execution would then be rowed across to that pub there on the right, the Angel at Rotherhithe, where he would sit and drink and watch as 3 times covered the pirate. But this all came to a stop with the advent of the Wapping River Police on the left. The oldest uniformed police force in the world, actually predates the Bow Street Runners by about 15 years. They decided, rather than executing people, what we should do is send them overseas. Initially we sent them to America. That was until the Americans decided they didn't like us anymore. They kicked the British out and gained their independence. And just look how well that's working out for them. And later we sent them to Australia, arguably not much of a punishment these days. But do we have any Australians on board? Well, if there are any Australians on board, welcome home. Now you're going to see lots of wharves on our journey. You can see we've got St John's Wharf coming there. Canary Wharf development. The most famous building here with the pyramid and the flashing lights at the top is number 1 Canada's Square. Now it's only about a third of the way through being built, the Canary Wharf development. They say it's going to take at least another 20 years to finish all the construction projects they want to put in there, after which they claim this will rival the skyline of Manhattan. Now the name Canary Wharf doesn't come from the bird, it comes from the boats that used to visit here from the Canary Islands. It sits on the Isle of Dogs. Now that name comes from the days of King Henry VIII. When this was all martial, this is where he had his royal kennels. His hunting hounds lived here, so they called it the Isle of Dogs. Now there's not much else to point out on the way down. It is all pretty much housing from here. So I'm going to give your ears a rest, give my voice a rest. But I'll be back on the mic as we get closer to Greenwich with a bit more about Greenwich itself and the times of you returning.
Por acá, Pablo. Por aquí, ñaño. Mauro.
Me acuerdo que una vez me aguanté aquí y me mareé.
Sube por acá, Pablo.
Manage it a lot better. It's more like in the morning and in the evening. You have to get a bit more quiet. Throughout the day. Jobs, 7 jobs.
Tu nombre eternamente y para siempre, cada día te bendeciré. Yo alabaré tu nombre eternamente y para siempre. Grande es Jehová y digno de suprema alabanza, y su grandeza inescrutable, cada día te bendeciré, cada día te bendeciré. Te exaltaré, Jehová Dios y Rey, y bendeciré tu nombre eternamente y para siempre, cada día te bendeciré y alabaré tu nombre eternamente y para siempre. Grande es.
Estamos ahí cuando lleguemos allá bonito. Nos sentamos y gastamos los coches. Ahí sí era buen día. Estaba haciendo el barbecue, ¿sí?
Always smart logistics in actually
Any questions or anything else?
smoke that we not money else.
Dan todos los que van a hacer ahí. Bonito, ¿no?
Excepto la tapa.
Este caballito malo, ve. Ya. Lanza. Nada.
Nailu, kijk mama.
Ahí vamos para allá, ña.
¿Otra vez?
Sí, ese es otro.
Hacer hasta 5.
Bonita, sí, mano.
Así no las vi acá, así, así. Solo así nomás, no tiras así porque se va a ver. Arriba, abajo.
eternamente y para siempre. Grande es Jehová y digno de suprema alabanza, y su grandeza inescrutable, cada día te bendeciré.
cada día te bendeciré.
Hey, 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 graba esto y ahí me das para hacer algo. Necesito hacer un rápido llamado. Busca primero el reino de Dios y su perfecta justicia, y lo demás añadido será. Aleluya, aleluya. Pedir y se nos dará.
¿Qué has dicho?
Abrirá. Aleluya, aleluya. No solo de pan el hombre vivirá, sino de toda palabra que sale de la boca de Dios. Aleluya, aleluya.